This journey for On the Shoulders of Giants, it started, let's say, around late 2012, early 2013, or I would say, because I don't remember the exact date and exact time, but let's say between 2012 and 2014. That's when On the Shoulders of Giants was created, between 2012 and 2014. Before I created On the Shoulders of Giants, I knew about YouTube. I knew about a lot of these social media platforms, but I was very anti-social media at the time. Some social media sites, I mean, I understood the necessity for social media. You know, I was on MySpace a bit when it first came out. And remember, I was on MySpace when I was in college, all right? So that just lets you know how old I am. I didn't start using social media until I was a grown man. I was in my late 20s when I started using social media, right? So I come from a time where we had to interact with each other. And I still operate like that because most of my life, I've always had to interact with people. But in the beginning, social media was something that I was trying to discover how to use and how to leverage to be able to get the information out that I wanted to get out. Because before the spark, and I'll call it the spark that caused On the Shoulders of Giants to happen, before that spark happened, I was really trying to figure out what I want to do with myself. I was trying to figure out which direction I wanted to go in life and what my next move was going to be. What could be a good move for me to take? Where should I go? Where should I be? What should I do? I was just graduating college around 2008, 2009. Just coming out of college. Yeah, I spent more time in college than I should have. So don't judge me in my life. Yeah, I spent more time. I was one of them super scenes, but I wasn't messing with nobody. I went to class and went home. But one of the issues for me in school was by the time I got to college, I was disenchanted about school. I didn't like school anymore. I really didn't want to be there, but going to school was a better idea than doing nothing or trying to hit the block or just trying to figure it out. So I said, well, let me go to school and learn something. Also, another reason why I went to school, because at the time coming out of high school, I wanted to play ball. So I'm giving y'all a full story. I wanted to play football. I know y'all probably look at me, look at them little shoulders. You ain't see me on that field. Don't let the little shoulders fool you. Don't let the size fool you, right? But coming out of college, I was starting to work at the Leon County Health Department here in Tallahassee, Florida. This is when I was beginning my time in HIV/AIDS and sexual violence prevention. I had no idea about none of these worlds. Like this is where I was. This is where my mind was, and this is just how I was living life. And I realized how much I had no idea existed, not just in the world, but in my own city. I had no idea of how much existed as far as opportunity, resources, and chance. I just always thought that my city was just this little country town where you just fumble along and get a state job and just try to be happy with a state job and make kids and be happy with your state job, right? But my mind was also closed to the possibilities of what I could do myself outside of athletic ability. And that was one of the sad things about all of this, about growing up, is at one point in life, I really believed that my greatest ability was my athletic ability. Because I'm cold out there. I'm cold out there on that field now. I'm cold on that field now. I ain't been on that field in a minute. But when I was on that field, I'm to my ice cold on that field now. But I didn't understand that my brain and the skill sets that I developed outside of athletics could take me further than athletics could ever think about taking me. I never saw the world like that. So coming out of college, I was just like, okay, I got a degree. What next? And see, leading up to this point, and see, I got to tell y'all this part. Right? So leading up to this point, leading up to the point to where I'm coming out of college and starting to work for the health department, I was throwing newspapers for the Tallahassee Democrat, our local newspaper. I was throwing newspapers. That was my primary job at the time. The primary job was a newspaper carrier. And then my secondary or my part-time job was the stage hand working at the local civic center here for the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. So setting up and breaking down the floor and the stage for events and things. So that's one of the main things that I was doing for the Civic Center. So between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., I'm throwing newspapers, right? And then, because the goal was to get home by 5, to be in my house, in my room at 5 a.m. so I could watch King of the Hill and then go back to sleep after that. And then the days I had to work at the Civic Center, I would go to work. I would do my newspaper routine, be back in the house before 5, and then say have to be up again maybe around 10, or have to be up around 9 so I can be, or 8:39 so I could be at the Civic Center around 10 or before 10 so we could go ahead and do our work for that day. So the newspaper job paid $600 a month, and I made, the newspaper job paid $600 a month, and my rent was $333 because I was living with 2 homies and we're splitting that $999 3 ways. So $333 was my responsibility, and I made $600 a month from throwing newspapers. And I was lucky if I made $150 from my job at the Civic Center, putting down the floors. And what's crazy too is, leading to the graduation, we get called in one day for the Civic Center because we need to set up for an event, and not necessarily giving us the information on what this event is going to be. But come to find out, as I'm working for the Civic Center, I'm setting up the stage that I'm about to walk across in the next couple of days to graduate from college. And I was like, man, that's so cool. Because my attitude about setting up the stage was different from everybody else's attitude that was on the team. Because once I figured out what this stage was in this event, it made me feel good. It was kind of bittersweet, like, dang, man, I got this job. But it made me feel good that I'm accomplishing something, even though right now it feel like it ain't talking about nothing right now. It feel like it ain't talking about nothing right now. But I'm actually going to get a big accomplishment out of all of this because I'm getting a chance to walk across the stage and complete, my academic journey. Because I'm not going back to school unless something miraculous happens. I'm not going back to school. That's why. So all these books behind me, I read books. All right. So, bam, set up the stage for the graduation. We go home and everything. 2 days later, bam, come back to the Civic Center, graduate, walk across the stage. Psh, I graduated college. Now, what's crazy about that is I never imagined myself graduating from college. 1, because I didn't want to be there. 2, most of my life, I've always saw myself as an athlete, a football player in the NFL, to be exact. And then when I was in college, I was always trying to do something. Like, we started, I think shout out to the homies Doc and Caleb, I think we started maybe 4 or 5 different businesses in college. We started a record label, started a lawn care company. It was 3 other businesses that we started. I can't remember, but I know off the top of my head, I know we started a record. We had a record label. We're legal owners. We were legal owners of a record label, Classic Status Records. Yeah. And we had a lawn care business. We did 3 other things. We started about 3 to 5 businesses in college. They all failed, but now looking back, I am proud of the fact that we had the guts enough to start businesses and to try to do something for ourselves as young men in our late teens and early 20s, not really understanding what the world has to give, but understanding that we need to provide for ourselves, but we need to own what we create. We need to own stuff. We need to be in positions of ownership so we can produce. We understood. We at least understood we need to own. We didn't understand the full thing, but we just understood that we need to own because we were influenced by your Master P's. We're not gonna lie. As far as that entrepreneurial mindset of owning your stuff. It's influenced by the Master P's. It was influenced by the Baby and the Slim Cash Money. We're influenced by Jay Prince. As far as the business side, not like trying to live our lives like them, but to see black men be, and like even Puff Daddy and Suge Knight and stuff like that. Like I say, not looking at them as we want to be like them as men, the character and values. No. But to see black men in ownership positions, owning their lanes as much as possible, that was very influential. And still to this day, I still have the mindset of I need to be in control. I need to be the owner. I need to be the person who's over this. I don't want to work for nobody. Now, even though now I understand you got to do what you got to do in order to do what you want to do. But hey, trust me, the working for myself aspect is on the brink. It's on the brink. All right, so bam, graduate. Back to the Leon County Health Department. So start working for the Leon County Health Department in HIV/AIDS prevention and sexual violence prevention. Now, I have no, and I repeat, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. At this point, the only thing I know about HIV/AIDS is a lot of black people got HIV/AIDS, and you can get it through sexual contact. At the point, that's all I knew. And all I knew about domestic violence was hearing that men put their hands on women made me mad. That's all I knew. So going into this, I'm talking about straight greenhorn. Straight green. Not knowing too much about none of this. So shout out to the homie Sam Carter, and rest in peace, Mr. Leroy Jackson. So 2 black men, and that's what's the best part about this journey that I'm telling you all is the influence of positive black men. Positive black men have influenced my whole life. Shout out to my pops. Shout out to my daddy, Wallace Ward. But I've been fortunate enough to have positive black men influence me my whole life. Now, have I had black men with negative influences? Oh yes. But I've had, if I give a percentage, I'll say 70% positive, 30% negative. But I don't have respect for the negative. I have the utmost respect for the positive, right? So Sam Carter, Leroy Jackson, they took me under their wing and they taught me how to be a professional. Taught me different aspects of manhood that I needed to learn outside of my father. My father set the foundation, and his teachings still reign supreme today. Me and my pops just talked the other day. We were just texting the other day and stuff like that, right? I can still hit my pops up. And like one thing that is cool about my pops is I didn't like it when I was younger, but now my pops will make you be on your stuff, right? So, and I was telling him the other day, I don't tell my dad stuff until I got it together, right? If I don't have it together, I'm not telling him about it because he gonna ask questions. He gonna ask a lot of questions, and if you ain't got the answers, he gonna ask more questions wondering why you ain't got the answers. So what I learned is to measure 10 times, cut once. And the cut once is talking to my pops. So, like I said, the foundation, my pops got me into the habit of making sure I got my stuff together, right? So I got that foundation, and then Sam Carter and Leroy Jackson helped to build upon that, helped shape and mold me over the years. So I am going into Black communities. And I know y'all probably, some of y'all might be wondering, what this got to do with On the Shoulders of Giants? It's all a part of the story. It's all a part of the story. It's all a part of the story. Because if it wasn't for my time at the Leon County Health Department, On the Shoulders of Giants may not exist. So, working at the health department, learning everything about HIV/AIDS, I can learn, because when I realized, because I know most people growing up, most people with HIV were Black. They say it was the LGBT community and Black people. So learning specifically about HIV/AIDS, what it is and how it affects people and why it affected certain people, the different types of intercourse that people have to be more susceptible to contracting HIV/AIDS than others, right? So I'm gonna just say it like that for the algorithm. Also, coupled with that is doing sexual violence prevention, right? So learning to help stop violence against women, sexual violence and domestic violence against women. Learning what it was deeper than when I heard about it, that made me mad. Understanding the psychology behind it. And a lot of people ask me, because my degree I graduated from Florida A&M University with a degree in psychology, or I would say a degree in Black psychology and a minor in African American studies. FAMU's psychology department is African centered. So I learned about Black history and Black psychology as well as psychology overall. So I have like a dual, triple type of degree and dual, triple type of way of thinking, because I was exposed to information from a specific angle and a specific viewpoint, especially from people who are considered master teachers and sat at the feet of these master teachers that we revere, right? So I'm able to use my psychology information that I learned in doing HIV/AIDS prevention and sexual violence prevention, seeing how these two aspects affect my community. So one of the requirements of my position, because I've always been a person who did a lot of outreach. So I'm known for doing HIV testing. I'm known for doing HIV trainings. I'm known for coming to your classroom, your house, your family reunion, your after school program, and doing a class. I'm known for giving information. I'm known for showing up and testing. I'm known for getting people right on track. I'm known as a resource in the HIV and sexual violence prevention world. And that's because Sam Carter and Mr. Leroy Jackson taught me how to turn myself into a resource. Be resourceful. Go get skills. Coming into the health department, I had a limited amount of skills. When I left the health department, I had skill sets I didn't even know I could get. I know things, and I have certificated things you guys wouldn't even believe. I got a green belt in Lean Six Sigma, right? So resources and stuff. So anywho, like I said, part of this job was to go out into the community and educate. I'm a health educator. I've taught in elementary school, K through 12. I've taught K through 12. Let me say that again. I did K through 12. So I went into elementary school. I've been middle schools. I've been high schools. I've been colleges. I've been retirement homes. I've been grad school. I've been juvenile programs. I've been in prisons. I've been in cafeterias. I've been in hallways. I've been in clubhouses. You name it. You name an age group. You name a demographic. I've taught there. I have 13 years of experience educating people, teaching information. 13 solid years. You name the environment and you put me in the environment, I was shining. Put me in, hey, I know my information to the point where I've been in environments of time where the power go out or that we just don't have no power because, hey man, we in the woods, we in the country, we in the deep country of Gaston County, we have no power. Guess what? Bam, rattle it all off because I know my stuff because Mr. Leroy and Sam, they got me right. Every Friday, Mr. Leroy focused on continuing education every Friday. So when we came in every Friday, we already knew we was going to spend the first half of the day, the first 4 hours of the day learning something new. So it got to a point to where my job was to set up the training. So bam, we was learning. So this one particular day,